Today, we're looking at two paddles from a company called Veloz. This is the Ellipse and this is the Quadra. I had the chance to test out the 60mm versions of each of these, and I found them to be incredibly stable paddles, especially considering they're edgeless, but more on that soon. First, let's get into the specs for the Ellipse. The Ellipse has a carbon surface with applied grit, it's elongated, it's thermoformed unibody with foam-injected edges, it has a 60mm core, it's 16.25 by 7.375 inches, the handle length is 5.5 inches, the grip circumference is 4.25 inches, the average weight is about 8 ounces, and it comes with a pre-installed removable polyurethane edge guard for the paddle head, which is actually underneath this edge tape here. And then it does have a 30-day test drive period, as well as a 90-day manufacturing defects warranty. The price is $214 with a $25 discount using promo code MatthewK. And the standard shape version, called the Quadra, has super similar specs, coming in at 5.75 inches long and 8 inches wide with a slightly shorter handle and slightly heavier average weight. Okay, so the big picture here is that these are two really stable paddles, especially considering they're edgeless. But they're still super fast and cut through the air at the kitchen, which is the whole point of getting an edgeless paddle in the first place. For me, I've actually been preferring standard shape paddles lately. Getting that extra stability and expanded sweet spot has been really nice for me. However, since both Veloz paddles have huge sweet spots and massive stability all around, I actually found myself preferring the Ellipse a little bit over the standard shape Quadra. That little bit of extra reach was nice to have. And I didn't really have any issues being able to move quick with this paddle. It's edgeless and it's super fast, even with that little bit of extra length. As for power, both had plenty for me. As far as I know, they're thermoformed with weight in the perimeter, and they're really solid in the power and the drive department, which is often a struggle, in my opinion, with edgeless paddles. As for pop, it's just the right amount for my playstyle, but I don't love a ton of pop with my paddles, so keep that in mind. To me, they both felt like what you'd get with a lot of non-edgeless paddles, so it was super familiar, and I didn't find myself needing to adjust my game at all. As for spin, I have heard some people complain that they can't produce as much spin as a normal raw carbon fiber paddle. And that makes sense. This is applied grit after all. However, I think that will only be a big deal or a big issue for baseline hits and ball rips rather than for a slow dinking game. Both these paddles have great touch and feel in my opinion, and you shouldn't have any trouble with shot placement and adding spin to short, soft shots up at the kitchen. They really excel in the short control game. Also, Veloz has a lot of design options to choose from, so you could really stand out at open play if you wanted to. I really personally like these two, but here are a few others. Another nice thing about these paddles is that they come with a pre-installed edge guard that will protect the head of your paddle if you have to do a dig or accidentally scrape the ground. I still recommend using edge tape because you're bound to scrape the side of your paddle at some point, but it's totally up to you. And their edge guard is removable and replaceable, which is nice. And for any edgeless paddle, I always like to do a full wrap around the entire perimeter in case I drop it on the ground at some point. Even though these seem like some of the best constructed edgeless paddles around, like they feel super premium out of the box, I'm sure they'd nick if you dropped it. I'm actually using some tape from a company called A11N that I really like on this paddle because it's super forgiving when you apply and you can really push the bubbles out, and it has a little bit more cushion compared to more generic tape like this one's. I'll leave a link in the description in case you want to check it out. And another cool thing that Veloz has are these lead strips that adhere just like the guards I was talking about. These would really amp up the power of either of these paddles quite a bit. They don't go to the bottom corners, but I really don't think anyone would want to make these paddles more controllable. I think you'd only be interested in adding power, to be honest. So these lead strips are just right. Lastly, these paddles have a 90-day manufacturing defects warranty as well as a 30-day test drive window. So there's not a lot of risk to trying them out. As for value, Veloz is clearly aiming to pull buyers away from some of the bigger, more highly priced paddle brands like Selkirk and Carbon. These are not budget paddles. They have some heft to their price tags. That being said, there really aren't a lot of edgeless paddles that play really well priced below this. It's obviously a costly endeavor compared to normal paddle construction, and lots of companies struggle to get it done right. I would say Veloz has really succeeded in that department, and they would be great paddles to look at if you're looking at some of Selkirk's more expensive paddles. Okay, I'll leave a link in the description for Veloz's site. Don't forget to use promo code MatthewK for that $25 discount. And I'll also leave some links and codes for some other cool paddles and paddle companies. Be sure to check those out. Using those does help me and does help the channel, so it's always appreciated. And please like and subscribe. That helps me a lot too, so it's super appreciated. But most importantly, I hope you get to pickle soon, and just don't forget, it's about having fun.